three. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to a very special edition of Bull Run Teaching Crypto for the first time since 2021. Bitcoin broke 50K today. Hello, everyone. Please hit that like, subscribe, bell notification. Super chats in the store are available. Huge day, huge psychological level reached, Mr. FOMO. Much quicker than you anticipated. I thought it was, I was thinking this day would be coming in March. It's a little bit early, but great to see.
Yeah, I honestly thought that you were just clickbaiting us and you were trying to get us more subs. I didn't think we'd be at 50. I didn't think we'd be at 50 by now, and I certainly didn't think we were going to get 55 by March 23rd, which was your prediction. So, yeah, it looks like this is a little bit early. It looks like this. I got to tell you, this almost all but wipes out my thesis about the dip between now and the halving, right? I mean,
well, they just had it earlier, right?
I thought that we were gonna get another dip, but in actuality, it would be, if we did get a dip, it would be a spike down, and it wouldn't probably even go below where we were when I said we were going to get a dip. And so I'm going to have to eat that one, but it's a good day. I mean, being wrong on a downward prediction is never a bad thing. So seeing us hit 50K was kind of shocking to me today. I thought for sure that would take longer. And I thought for sure when we got rejected that we wouldn't break back through it. But
and that's the key, right? Establishing 50K this week and holding on. You want to remember, we really actually had that holiday dip you were talking about right when the ETF hit. We did go. And it happened very quickly from 49 to 38. Now, a lot of people were calling for mid-30s, but here's the problem. So many whales were accumulating during that 3-week stretch behind the scenes. And even despite all of the selling of the Bitcoin ETF, the price stabilized. And now we got this big jump, and we're even closer to the halving now. And so I want to point out really quickly that, this is amazing momentum. And here's a chart I saw earlier today that I want to share that kind of captures, I think, where we should be looking at here, right? Now, okay, the very bottom, Mr. FOMO, 15K, right? And at that point, you remember the calls for the less than 10K Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we moved fairly quickly to 20K, not even a year ago, right? Then right. 25. And then over the summer, we had that big correction, right? That dropped us down to 26. And since then, if you zoom out, since July, we have been red hot, except for one cold streak and one very short period.
Yeah. We've been green hot.
Yeah. And so the people looking for the 40K, I don't see it. I mean, you might not see 40K until the next bear market. And that's probably the reality here. Yeah, there will be a correction between now and the late spring, early summer, no doubt. But here's the other thing.
Yeah, and that's all I was going to say is depending on how high this goes between the halving and that that Halloween indicator that we have at the end of May, I could see this. I could see it coming back down to there if it doesn't get very high. But today's action, getting above 50,000, shows that we may be in store for some pretty serious upside going towards this halving event and then beyond the halving event. And that would leave us far too high, I think, to dip all the way back down to the 40s and even to 40,000 or into the 30s. I think that would probably be absurd, but I've been wrong before.
My prediction remains 90K we hit before the end of 2024. Originally, that was my prediction for the entire bull run, but now I'm thinking we could easily break 100,000. Again, things can change, but things are looking amazing. And one of the things that hit today was the ETH ETF. There's been more and more tinkering, and more people have been applying for ETH ETFs, and the ETH train is on the go, right? And ETH did amazing. And it's like people for the longest time were saying, man, ETH is just not moving. ETH is just not moving. But guess what? When you zoom out, ETH is doing actually very, very well. Mr. FOMO, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. How do you think ETH has done over the last 12 months?
Really well. So awesome.
77%. Now, you wouldn't think that, right? Because everyone's been
Yeah.
complaining about the price of ETH, but it's up 77%. It's
And
all a
that
matter of
just to
perspective.
show you, those are people who are remembering the good times of the last bull run, and they're not being realistic, and they're not paying attention to the cyclical nature of this market. And so to hear them saying that, it's almost like you just have to brush that off and think, all right, they're not fully understanding what's happening here. And when it comes back around, this one for sure has got to be in your portfolio.
Yeah, and I'm the reason I'm so bullish here is one, we're getting closer to the halving, the media attention, the scarcity of supply, but also the whale accumulation. All the data shows over the past 4 weeks, these people are not buying to sell in February. They're not buying to sell in March, maybe April. May I could see some selling for sure, but this looks like what we're going to have here, Mr. FOMO, is a huge run into the halving, and I see some of the alts. I'm going to go back to my prediction of Solana. You tried to talk me out of that 200 by March 33rd. I think we could do it, and that's a bold prediction. And not financial
On March
advice.
23rd, you said?
March 23rd for Solana at
March
200.
23rd, 200.
Well, we guess
I
what?
believe one of our viewers was a little bit harsher on you than I was. I just wasn't sure it was going to happen. I think somebody asked if you were smoking something.
Well, guess what? We just hit 112 as we're live on the air, right?
Yep,
94
that's right.
last week when it just paused for 5 hours. The network went down. It retraced to 94. We just hit 112. I think this thing's going to boom. Not financial advice, but if you got some Solana over the weekend or the past couple of weeks, if you were lucky enough to get into that big dip when Bitcoin went to 39, you're doing great. Right now, I just want to say Chainlink has really been accumulating in the 20s as well. I'm just throwing everything out there tonight. It's a good night. Chainlink's been accumulating in the 20s for a while. I expect that to go to 28 in March minimum as well. We're just trying to help you guys out. And you did
And
amazing.
these are all proven bull run projects, right? These are I mean, Ethereum obviously, but these other projects, people really, if you haven't taken a look at these projects yet, you are getting pretty close to the 11th hour right now.
Mm-hmm.
Solana, Chainlink, there's going to come a point where, after seeing the prices here, the price action is almost going to be prohibitive. You're almost going to be chasing pumps after this.
You want to be careful, and that's you don't want to be chasing pumps in March and April. You do not want to be doing that. Now, here's the thing. Because of the ETH ETF, what I'm expecting, Mr. FOMO, is this. I'm expecting this, you talk about the Halloween indicator. I think we're actually going to go into May here before a retrace instead of late April. And so you're going to have some time, but just be careful because things pump at different times, right? You saw ETH take a huge jump. Don't try to, just be careful. I think you're safe buying ETH, not financial advice over the next couple of months. But do be careful. You don't want to be buying Solana at 200. It's not what you buy, it's when you buy. Go ahead.
No, you said exactly what I was going to say. You don't want to be chasing those pumps. It's not what you buy, it's when you buy. It's important. You at this point, you hope that you already have your bags filled, but if you don't, you want to DCA in. And to be honest with you, if I can see that ETF coming around the bend, I know we're going to have another, because we saw the Bitcoin ETF, I know we're going to have another buy the news or buy the rumor, sell the news incident. And so then we can sort of plan on having a dip beyond that ETF, right? And we've seen this play out before. Once the SEC starts talking to these banks and these TradFi institutions about their ETFs, once they start working out all the small details and the fine print, they eventually get this thing done. And so that's where we're at with this ETF. And so I could fully see this coming down the pipeline very soon. And when it does, we have history on our side showing that there is going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news event. And so right now is definitely the time that you want to be putting ETH in your bag for that, but not only ETH, everything else, because I have a feeling that this ETH ETF is going to drive the market like ETH has never driven the market before. Usually we're talking about Bitcoin driving the market, but with this ETF coming through, you're going to have that news driving this entire market. And so you want to have your bags filled everywhere when that comes through, because you're going to have the opportunity to take profits again, just like we did in early January or mid-January.
And you see this lovely green ETH today. Another big bank filed for an ETH ETF today. We kind of know how this is going to play out. Now, I'm still not sure the ETF is actually going to be approved in May like people think, but the narrative is all you need. Play the narrative. That's all you need. Really quickly, we had a quick Voyager question. Unfortunately, until Paul Hage makes an announcement about mediation with FTX, there's nothing to talk about, right? Paul's going at a really slow pace. There's no way around it. We had a Voyager update about a third-party class action lawsuit, the NBA. Those things takes months, if not years.
Years.
You're not going to see a lot from that, to be honest. I mean, you might see a little bit, but
well, let's talk about that for a second. You know, basically, they're saying the NBA and the Mavs and Mark Cuban tricked investors into investing into unregistered securities, right? Now, the unregistered securities argument causes a problem. One, the unregistered securities argument causes a problem for all of crypto, because if this goes through, then they've sort of set a precedent, right? It's on the books that they're calling these things securities. But to be honest with you, I think that might be why this lawsuit fails, because of that specific wording. Because if the SEC hasn't said that these are unregistered securities, then what judge is going to sit there and say that, oh yeah, they are unregistered securities? I think they'll have a hard time doing that. And I think that will be one of the things that cause it to fail. I think this will limit crypto sponsorships moving forward if it does go through. I think if this lawsuit is successful, I think you'll see a lot of companies backing away more than they already are from crypto institutions. So I think that'll be a bad thing. And like you mentioned, what is the actual benefit to the individual? Like each individual stakeholder, in the end, we would like to see a distribution from this. And in class action lawsuits, once everybody gets paid, we know that's very minimal.
The lawyers make way more than anybody else. Really quickly, yeah, the coin ledger thing sucks, but at least you had to pay for that. But it was cheaper than last year, and at least there was documentation about them liquidating your assets, Carolina. So if you haven't paid the $24, I would recommend it, just to get it over with and give it to your tax people. I'm not a tax expert, just telling you what most people are doing. The next Voyager payment, guys, until there is news about FTX and whether the mediation worked, here's the reality. If mediation does not work, you're talking about months, if not years, for the next payment for the next distribution. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but that's just the reality. So we hope to get something. Guy hasn't said much, but we will keep trying to contact him. I'm sure MrFOMO is going to try once again this week like he did last week, and we'll see where that takes us. Until that happens, we really don't have anything. We're not going to blow smoke up your rear end. Tennessee, ETH gas. Yes, ETH is expensive to use, and it's not the most practical way to go through crypto, and that's why you see Solana going way up. But here's the thing. The ETH ETF is enough for a lot of people foaming into the space. What are they going to buy when they first come in? They're going to buy ETH. They're going to buy Bitcoin. Now, in the past, they've also bought Litecoin, but now is not the time to buy Litecoin. We will let you guys know. Now is not the time to buy Litecoin. There will be a time where Litecoin is a great investment.
Isn't it actually post-halving?
Yeah,
like Bitcoin having, you're going to see a Litecoin opportunity.
If history
at
repeats
least
itself,
based on history.
Yeah. If history repeats itself, like the time to buy Litecoin will be a few months. However, this cycle has been a little bit different because it looks like we're going to break all-time highs well before the halving as of right now. So that's you might not be able to wait until the spring to buy Litecoin, but we'll just have to wait and see. But to be honest with you, a Litecoin is not at the top of my list right now. There's some other tokens that I'm just more and more excited about, right? That I just think are quick movers, big. Some of these I'm mentioning are big market caps besides Muse. If you did not see Mr. FOMO's deep dive into Muse, please do so. Get that video. Right after Mr. FOMO hit that video, the market cap for Muse went up about $1 million, and it's retraced a little bit. So you have a chance to get in there. Not financial advice at all.
Yeah, it almost felt like somebody watched the show and then pumped a bunch of money into Muse, even though I probably know that's not likely. That's probably not. But it felt like that. And to be honest with you, it's actually a little bit above there still. We saw another little pump today with Muse. It's one of the ones that I hold. To be honest with you, a lot of the deep dive tokens that I do are tokens that I end up putting in my portfolio. So for me, that was good to see. But we certainly think that has a lot more room to grow. What with that tiny market cap and the that tiny supply that's less than $1 million. That market cap is what, only 7 or 8 million right now, and the supply is 950,001. That's the max supply. And so
you guys want to pay attention, because
things like one of our viewers, what they said, it's a no-brainer investment. I got to agree with them on that one, just based on those numbers.
Things move fast in crypto. It was just a week ago we talked about HBAR being a great value under 7 cents. Well, it has already hit 8 cents today. So you got to keep it here, keep it locked and loaded. We're working on a ton of stuff for you guys. Great day in crypto. Guys, this is only the beginning. The ball has just been kicked off. The Super Bowl may have ended, but the bull cycle is just kicking off, and you want to share it with us. Please share this show, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, help us get to 2,000 subs as quickly as possible. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
See you.